Here's why I would rather buy Velo as of right now when compared to Bitcoin, even though nothing I say is financial advice. Because first of all, I want to make clear that a lot of my friends that I know out there, they're virtually all in profit when it comes to Bitcoin. And they're feeling pretty good. But here's the thing. Even though Bitcoin is good right now, what could be better, hypothetically speaking, in the next 6 to 10 months in terms of potential percentage price increase when comparing Velo to Bitcoin? In my opinion, I would arguably say Velo for me, even though I can't speak on anyone's behalf. But here's the way to take a look at it, right? Bitcoin as of right now, price is above $100,000. That's very good. But as a best case scenario, what is that really going to do? Maybe less than a 3x going to the price of $300,000? Many people are saying that. Unless I have $10 million, what is the point for me to FOMO into Bitcoin right now? It just makes no sense. So instead, because I don't have $10 million in Bitcoin, what would I rather choose? Velo or Bitcoin? Again, it's going to have to be something like Velo because going to the price of $1, that's from an 80x from here. Now, an 80x may seem a little bit like, jarring, right? Like, whoa, like that's an 80x, But let's say, the market cap at that point really wouldn't even be that crazy, at least in my perspective. Considering current circulating supply, the market cap at that point would be around $7.5 billion. I don't think that's too much to ask for. There's many meme coins out there that many people are predicting could achieve a lot higher than this. And I could very well see some meme coins actually achieving more than this during a fully fledged bull run. But even besides that, I don't think this is too much to ask for in the grand scheme of things. Even if we minus that by 50%, right? Let's say 50 cents, not $1. Even at 50 cents, that's, around a 40x from here, give or take. So the way you take a look at it is that this doesn't feel too bad to me. Now again, would it be easier for Velo to do a 3x in the next 6 to 10 months or Bitcoin? I think arguably Velo, and it probably wouldn't even need to take 6 to 10 months in theory, because if let's say the altcoin space recovers a little bit, let's say it does better than what it is as of right now, beyond the recovery that we kind of saw, right? A 3x for a relatively speaking kind of low cap project like Velo, even though it's not small by any means, but compared to Bitcoin, of course, right, it's kind of small. But I'm just saying, something like this doesn't really require too much volume to really make it move in the direction in which I think could be so beneficial for it. So I don't think this is a tough task, or a tall order, I should say, to ask for when it comes to Velo. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to Velo, people like to say, oh, it's kind of bad because if we take a look at it, it's primarily focused on remittances. And if we take a look at remittance, for example, right? Let me just give a very basic example of what this is. Like, for instance, let's say I'm from São Paulo, Brazil, and I'm working in Tokyo, Japan. And let's say I'm working there and I send money back home to São Paulo, then right there, that's considered, a remittance. Now, again, there's many people working abroad, at least from what I've seen. And even in terms of data-wise, right, we take a look at how, according to Grandview Research, the global digital remittance market is expected to reach over $60 billion by 2030. So again, just imagine those figures right there. It's already massive, but it could even be bigger in the future. Not to mention, according to BPB, in 2020, there was nearly 24 million Southeast Asians living outside their country of origin. So we could only imagine the remittance there. And that's back in 2020, right? So that's years ago. And here's the thing. Sometimes people, again, like to say, oh, remittance is a market that is very unique. It's very niche. Yeah, it is. But someone has to be focused on it, right? And Velo, I think, is one of the premier players in that space as of right now. And if we think about it as well, Velo did a very smart approach because initially they were focused on the Southeast Asian region. And I've already talked about, the statistic before, right? Now, I think it's very smart of them to really be focused on a specific region to begin with, because of course, if they're focused on too many things at once, it's a little bit difficult to kind of, find their groove or find their rhythm. So I do like that. And if we take a look at Velo more specifically, right, it is a blockchain-enabled financial system and decentralized settlement network that is designed to make the transfer value between one country to another more efficient. Now, again, that's just a very fancy way of saying how it's focused on cost-effective cross-border payments and remittances, which of course I've already talked about before. So again, Velo is a very easy to understand project in my opinion. It's not overly complicated. It's not too all over the place, if that makes sense. Not to mention, we have to also take a look at how they have their own stablecoin called USDV, which I think adds a little bit more flavor to the project because, of course, it may seem too simple to some people. I don't think it's too simple, but again, this does add another layer. And some people may think that, oh, USDV must be lame and all this. It's actually not true because if we take a look at it, right, not too long ago, if we take a look at Velo's involvement with BlackRock, more specifically with BlackRock's tokenized short-term treasury fund into their USDB stablecoin. So just imagine that. BlackRock is very massive and relatively speaking kind of like small stablecoin like USDV, gaining that type of attention, so to speak. I think that's very fantastic. And just imagine what, better things could happen moving forward. Only time will tell, but I think it's very amazing. So again, if I take a look at Velo, I think they took a very, kind of risky approach, I would say, because it's very easy, right, for a project to be focused on like, blockchain gaming or like, NFTs or let's say like, AI or whatever. That's a very like, relatively speaking, a low risk type of move because those markets are proven, people like it. But when it comes to remittances, like I've never heard anyone say, hey, you know what, I'm going to believe in the world of cryptocurrencies to focus on projects that are, geared towards remittances. I've never heard that. I did not even myself enter the world of cryptocurrencies for that, right? It's not like I entered cryptos searching for Velo, if that makes sense. But then I'm glad I found it along the way. I'm glad I did, right? Because I think it's actually very underrated and it's a market sector that really doesn't have a lot of attention. But as we all know, right, historically speaking, people, they typically move in trends. They like this market, they like this, they like that. They like to move on to the next cool thing. And could remittances be considered cool? Probably not in the same level of like AI or whatever. But in my opinion, it could maybe gain some attention. And if we think about it, right, if we consider a project that is focused on remittances, a lot of people can pretty much only name one in this crypto space. I'm not saying generally speaking, but again, in this crypto space, many people think about Velo. So I think it has a good, market presence there. And some people may be thinking, oh, we're nearing June as of right now. Like we're already halfway through 2025, 2026, not that far away. Here's the thing. In the world of cryptocurrencies, things typically, in some cases, move very quickly. I mean, even the largest project out there as of right now, Bitcoin, even that moved very quickly. You know what I mean? If we're talking about like a 20, 30x in the S&P 500, when it comes to gold, some people out there, their outlook is like multiple decades, you know what I mean? Or even like a super duper long time or whatever, right? If we take a look at some boring stocks, it may take quite a while. However, we're in the world of cryptocurrencies. Things don't need to take 20 or 30 years or whatever, you know what I mean? Hypothetically, in theory. So when I take a look at Velo and people are saying, oh, we're out of time and all this, again, 6 months, let's say, before the end of this year, it may seem like quite a while. And I'm just using this as an example, right? But again, months in the world of cryptocurrencies could feel like even multiple decades in other sectors, you know what I mean? Because seeing like, those crazy type of 2021 type of altcoin season type of runs, right? Take a look at how fast that happened. It's not like it took like 20 or 30 years. So this time around, let's say if the altcoin season is really in fifth gear, I don't think it's going to take like 20 or 30 years for something like Velo to really have a significant move. This is just my perspective. But again, only time will tell. As of right now, I can only stay patient because the market is going to wake up when it wants to wake up. But again, the only thing I can control is acquiring, holding, and just waiting. And I'm going to be doing that. But again, $1 wouldn't surprise me at all when it comes to Velo. And I'd much rather prefer it instead of Bitcoin, especially as of right now. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. Greatly appreciated. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm a peace. Bye.